Welcome back to Newsday. Thank you so much for staying with us. Now, President Bola Tinubu has joined Christian faithfuls all over the world to commemorate Easter, describing the season as a significant moment and glorious celebration of the triumph of life over death. In his message on the occasion of Good Friday ahead of Easter, President Tinubu also recognizes Christians in Nigeria and called on them to embrace love, sacrifice, and compassion as the patent themes of the solemn season. He observed that the sacrifice of Jesus Christ for humanity is an emphatic lesson for leaders and all Nigerians to yield to selflessness and compassion and be steadfast in the pursuit of a united, peaceful, and prosperous nation. The president commended Nigerians for the sacrifices they have made in the past few months for the nation to be steered to the path of recovery and sustainable growth, assuring them that the seeds of patience which they have sown are beginning to sprout and will in no time bring forth an abundance of good fruits.
In the meantime, Catholic bishops in Nigeria, under the aegis of Catholic Bishops' Conference of Nigeria, Thursday lamented that the majority of Nigerians will be celebrating this year's Easter in an atmosphere beclouded by uncertainty, tension, and pessimism. In an Easter message read by President of the Conference and Archbishop of Owerri Archdiocese, Most Reverend Lucius Ogoji, the clergyman, however, called on every Nigerian to remain hopeful for better days. The clergyman said, in seeking to foster national unity and cohesion, all must choose the pathway to peace by shunning injustice, discrimination, bigotry, and fanaticism, which according to them are all sources of discord, disaffection, and disunity. Rise News analyst Dayo Sobowale is here to discuss this observation by the Catholic bishops and the need for government to intensify efforts at addressing the nation's challenges. Good afternoon, and as always, good to have you with us as well.
It's a pleasure being here as usual.
Mr. Sobowale.
So how would you respond to their assessment of and how impactful on the government's current reform efforts?
Well, they are following a well-trodden track and following the example of a famous bishop of Lagos, Umi Anthony Okoji, during military rule. He used to call the government to order, just like they are doing now. So the pedigree is right. It's their duty to do that. Except, of course, in the many reports I have on that conference, they went on to ask for the release of Kanu, the IPOB leader. I will comment on that later. But for starters, let me say that it is their duty to call the nation to order. And they have just done that. And the season is right. The season is right. I will treat the season again in the context of the call for Kanu's release later. But the reports also have it that somewhere the president cautioned religious leaders to always try to pray for the country instead of using some words that do not connote praying or wishing the polity well. I think that too is a call in the right direction. The clergymen too should heed that. And actually, as a Christian myself, I was brought up to accept the challenges of tough times. Yeah. The world is not a bed of roses. The mark of a true Christian is for you to face your challenges and trust God will see you through. So, maybe I'm in a religious mood because Easter is on us. But I want a question first before I move on.
All right, no problem. I know you have a lot to say. But, you know, this is, I find this season to always be very significant because not only are Christians in a reflective season, but so are Muslims as well. Mm-hmm. But given that and given the mood that's currently dominating in the country, do you think that it was the right time to ask the clergymen or, you know, clerics to refrain from commenting on politics? Because the people need a source of hope at the moment and are looking for anything that they can hold on to move forward. So was that a necessary comment?
Well, I think it was, and well-timed too, and I will tell you why. You see, even the Chief of Defense Staff, at the height of this insecurity crisis, before the killing of this officer, said that, Nigerians use foul language to condemn their leaders and the situation in their country, that it was almost getting spiritual, that they don't know what's in the air, that those things will come to pass. And even the Kenyan wrote extensively that the way Nigerians condemn their leadership so negatively that other people will not have respect for Nigerians. You see, there should be moderation. I'm sure if you ask Nigerians, 80% of Nigerians are not happy with what is going on in the country, or not the whole 80% will use the vile language that some 5% or so used to condemn the situation. So it's just a call for some moderation. And maybe it came on his birthday, maybe he was in a joyous mood, which is acceptable. Now, let's face the nitty-gritty of the call by the Catholic bishops to release IPOB leader Kanu. Well, it is well-timed. This is Easter time. This was the time when Pontius Pilate was asked to pick between Jesus and Barabbas. And Barabbas was a nationalist, like some people call Kanu. But I would ask the Catholic bishops not to turn our president into Pontius Pilate to make a decision at this particular time. One, and then you see the conference was at Owerri. And the president of the conference now happens to be an Igbo man. I don't think that venue was the place for him to have made that sort of announcement. Because to me, it sounded more like an Igbo man than a nationalist, than a national Catholic conference leader in the mold of Bumi Okoji that I mentioned earlier. So it should use some restraint. He is at liberty to criticize government. You should use some restraint and know that it's not existing in a vacuum. You get me? And see, let us speak the truth. We have a Muslim ticket on. Obviously, Christians did not buy into it. You get me? Especially Catholics. And we know the candidate of a certain party that made inroad this time around was from this part of the country. So that's, throws open the charges of ethnicity at the doorstep of the distinguished Catholic bishop. You should be careful about that because he holds a very, very important position. Let me leave it at that for now.
All right, Mr. Sobowale. Now, beyond the Easter message and beyond the season itself, does the Church have a role to play in upholding moral virtues regarding the conduct of government over the electorate? Is not a scenario whereby we have to wait for the festive season to get government doing what it's supposed to do for the people. Your thoughts on that?
The Church has immense role to play. And historically, the Church has always played a role. In fact, I have to go into history now. This particular Catholic Church, there was a time when the Catholic Church was ruling the world, when the Church was the state. And it came to a stage where a French emperor who felt intimidated by the Pope from Rome said, "L'État c'est moi, I am the state." So, but now the Catholic Church is just, has only one nation, that's the Vatican. That's the smallest sovereign state in the world. So the power shift has gone. But in terms of morality, like you rightly noted, the churches, the mosques, they are doing that. I attend church regularly, and the churches are thriving, even in these dire economic circumstances, because people flee to churches, to religious houses in times of crisis, seeking spiritual succor. Whether they get it or not is a different kettle of fish. But then, that's the duty of the churches. And on both sides of the divide, either in terms of jihadism, either in terms of evangelization, the religious sector is booming, almost like the banking sector. But how that translate to good morals, and lessening corruption and all that, it's a different...
Yeah, and to a large extent, even there are times the Church itself has been accused of maybe getting too close to the political arena in terms of its engagement with the powers that be, especially when it comes to politics. We've seen politicians run to church and, seeking their blessings, as it were. instead of just try to be impactful on the electorate by virtue of the offices. So what do you have to say to that as well?
I have to toe your line. I have to toe your line. See, you can't believe it. After every election, people go to churches to celebrate. And you need to hear what the clergyman will say. Get me? And if people make donations, they don't query the source. They play abundantly. And then it is the practice or the style of the church to pray for you so that God will bless you, so that you bless the church. You get me? But essentially, the church is a religious institution. And it's called to call all of us to order in terms of our morals. If the morals are right, if people are honest and straightforward, the polity will be a better place. They will be able to select people rightly according to their conscience. And if they select the right people, the political system will brighten up. Get me? And the level of corruption will lessen. The level of nepotism, level of so many vices that the religious institutions condemn. Because they have no other job other than to condemn that. But that was why the president was saying maybe they were doing it too much, or the chief of army staff was saying, okay, pray more, and it doesn't mean they should not criticize. Constructive criticism, and not the sort of criticism that will drive the polity or the populace against the government of the day. There should be moderation.
I believe we just have 1 minute, but I just want to look at the link between, especially Christian religious holidays and insecurity. Of course, there's the news that 35,000 personnel have been deployed by NSCDC for the sake of increased security during this period. Of course, we all remember what happened during Christmas with the killings in Plateau State. Easter in the past has also unfortunately been marked by tragic incidents. Are we navigating this very delicate issue correctly?
We can only pray. We can only pray that some wicked soul or lunatic does not want to recreate what happened at Christmas at Easter. But I'm sure the job of the security forces is to alert us, to warn us, to prompt us. And then, God willing, nothing untoward will happen. But we can only pray. We can only pray. We are in the midst of unprecedented insecurity in this nation.
True.
I'm not that very prayerful, but I think we need prayers like Gawan used to do for us in those days. The preaching is getting old now. Pray for Nigeria.
You're starting another conversation because some people will say, is it prayer? But Mr. Sobowale, we don't have any more time. Thank you so much for your contribution.